Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is a deck spotlight on a Deathwing Zoo Warlock created by the professional player and popular caster Admirable. Now, I almost feel wrong calling this a Zoo Warlock. That is what Admirable has called it, so that's the name I'm sticking with, and of course the first half of this list does look exactly like standard Zoo Warlock decks. It's got all the early game stuff that you expect to see, but pretty quickly near the end of the list, this deck starts to spiral out of control into some surprising late game power cards. And to me, almost means this isn't exactly an aggro deck, but more of a mid-range deck, because typically you don't see 6, 8, or 10 cost cards in Zoo list. At the very top end, sometimes you'll see a couple Doom Guards and a couple Sea Giants, but typically those are 5 cost or less cards. But this deck's finisher pieces are honestly Psychotron, Sylvanas, Rag, and then Deathwing, which are much more expensive and don't really play in the same way that Doom Guard or Sea Giants do, as more quick finishers that are meant to end the game in a turn or two when you play them. These offer more mid-rangey value. You're expecting good trades out of Psychotron. You're expecting to create a lot of friction with your opponent's board with Sylvanas. You're reducing threats or applying damage with Ragnaros. And finally, you're clearing the board with Deathwing if all else fails. So a little bit of a different approach with this deck. So I'm sure many times it wins games just based on the turns 1 through 4 with standard Zoo stuff, but it has some options to win games in some surprising late game power turns with big cards as well. So it's the Deathwing Zoo. I also consider calling it the Psycho Zoo because it's a pretty psycho looking list, but does some pretty interesting and unusual things. So all that said, the best way to get a good understanding of this deck is simply to take it out onto the ranked ladder and see it in action. Admirable has reported some pretty good results playing this deck on the ladder, and I'd like to see it in action myself because I think it could be pretty cool, right? One of the problems with Zoo is that if you do lose the board by that turn 6, 7, 8, often you're just out of luck. I've seen some people tech in N'Zoth and some Death Rattles to give them that late game recovery tool that helps them regain the board. This deck does a similar kind of thing, but instead of trying to rebuild your board, it says, screw it, I'm totally deleting the board with Deathwing instead. And you have one chance to kill my guy, or I'm going to end the game. And Ragnaros and Sylvanas do similar kinds of things. Just big threats, like you gotta figure this out, you gotta deal with this, force your opponent to react. So typically you don't want to see 10s and 8 drops in your mulligan, but actually with this deck it's not that bad because this means we're not going to get them in our opening hand, and the last thing we want is to sit on a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drop in our opening hand. So seeing them and being able to X them out essentially means that we're tucking them away inside our deck and we're guaranteed to get something lower cost, which is good. So we definitely want Argent Squires, Dark Peddlers, depending on the deck, Knife Jugglers, Voidwalkers. Voidwalker got new artwork, by the way, in a recent patch, so check this out. Isn't that cool? He looks way better as a golden card. That's awesome looking. We could play the Direwolf here, but we'll just go ahead and do the Dark Peddler to build some resources. This might be relevant later. We'll take the Soulfire because the other two cards really sucked, and this could be good. Just love the new artwork here. Really shiny golden cards. Okay, so good clear there, but the Direwolf will help us sort this out, and we'll actually even have a play to follow up as well. I think this is slightly more likely to die, so I put it on the right side. 4 cost, Water Lily. Okay. We don't really have a great clean way to deal with this. I mean, we certainly can, right? We can Dark Iron something like our Argent Squire and send in the Voidwalker as well. Fortunately, that kills both things, but we're left with a reasonable board. So I think we'll go ahead and do that. We could also just Soulfire, but we have 4 drops in hand, so that makes our mana cost really awkward. We could Defender of Argus and keep this alive, potentially, but the damage doesn't line up as well, because the Defender of Argus will split the Direwolf Alpha from some other minion. So I think I like going this route the best. Yeah, we need to put it on the left because both of our other minions are going to die. So anytime we want Forbidden Rituals to spawn on the right, we'll need to make sure our other minion is on the left. So we have a good board, but he'll have answers, right? There's always answers. Frostbolt. Arcane Missiles is risky. Hopefully he does not kill this. Oh my god! What? Stuff like that makes it hard to win the game, to tell you the truth. I think I have to deal with this, so we'll just trade. The question is, what do I do next? I think I'm going to life tap. I don't want a Defender of Argus, just an Argent Squire, and Defender Vargasing this doesn't help. I could take the Soulfire risk, but I'm going to life tap first and see what happens. Forbidden Ritual. So I could trade Forbidden Ritual. He just used Arcane Missiles, so that would set up for a good Defender or Abusive, and at least help us refill the board. I think we'll do that. These are... I wouldn't mind getting the Argent Squire out, but in this instance, I'd just rather play more dudes. I cannot believe all 4 Arcane Missiles hit my Dark Iron Dwarf. Like, do you know how significant that is? So stupidly significant. Alright, so we can Soulfire that, but it doesn't feel that good, does it? I think I'd rather Defender of Argus, Abusive Sergeant, and just kill it. And play the Argent Squire. Because if it, you know, this is 1 mana that leaves me with 5 mana. I could Psychotron Soulfire, I guess, but I'd be pretty... Oh, God! Didn't mean to do that. It's just mousing over the card. Oh, it's just mousing over the card. Well, that changes my play a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm just going to do this. Clearly, we should have another 2/2 here. But I was just mousing over the card and accidentally threw the Defender of Argus into play. So, obviously, we were still going to do mostly that, but one of these should have 2 health instead of 1 health. It's probably not super relevant, but could actually matter pretty significantly. So he just used Forgotten Torch, Fire Blast. Sylvanas, I think I'd rather play when we know something is on the board that's valuable. So we'll just tap and play the 5-drop. Put your Divine Shield guys on the outside, so if we do something like Direwolf Alpha, these will die as they trade up, and these will slot in to fill the space. That might be a Soulfire target if we can unload most of our hand, but I don't want to risk losing Sylvanas. Thank God he actually missed that shot for once. This is exactly what I was talking about here. We're going to spend 6 mana, I think, so I'm going to go ahead and life tap first just in case it's relevant. Possessed Villager doesn't make much difference. So see, if a Divine Shield guy had been in the middle, that wouldn't have worked. Because it still would have been alive, and the other one wouldn't have slotted in. And I think I'm going to do this way. He'll be able to ping this, but I would much rather the Psychotron live and be difficult to kill, so I'm going to buff it up to 2 health. And plus, he's just getting the stats on the more valuable Direwolf Alpha. This is really not a valuable minion, so... Rag. Okay, that's actually not that troublesome. We can play a Sylvanas and... so he did ping it, but probably not in the way he anticipated. I can actually play my entire hand and Soulfire Rag and just go... but I really don't want to, right? I kind of want to leave the Sylvanas out and create some awkward situations for him and the Rag. The Rag's very unlikely to really contribute to my board's destruction or anything. So, I mean, if he fireballs it, he's in trouble. Like, there's a lot of issues. So I'm just going to go face instead. Playing stuff on the right for the Direwolf Alpha's sake. I need to decide if I want to life tap or play the Possessed Villager. Originally, I was going to play the Possessed Villager, But now I'm kind of thinking I'm going to life tap and just save this. So we probably should have life tapped first, but we're all right. We're doing a ton of damage, and I don't know. The Flame Strike ping is sort of good, but then it means we can just steal Rag. So he has to be very careful how he handles this. You don't typically see Sylvanas and Zoo, so he probably wasn't playing around that. Can't just Fireball, because that'll give us Rag. We might be able to Soulfire our own Sylvanas to steal the Rag. Oh, so he's just playing that. He's going to give me the Rag. I mean, it's guaranteed lethal, right? Well, it's actually not guaranteed lethal. Oh, it is. It is. It's guaranteed lethal. We can just steal the Rag and Soulfire face. Yep, so that's a win. Not the cleanest win when you're accidentally... I know I clicked too much. That's a common complaint from viewers. Clearly affected me there. Looked like I was playing on mobile. He probably thought I was playing on mobile. But really, in the end, not a significant change. Cost us 1 damage, I think, probably. It cost us a Divine Shield on an Argent Squire, is what it cost us, because we would have ended up trading the 2 little guys instead of that Argent Squire, so. Which actually mattered. The Argent Squire died to the Ragnaros shot, would have lived otherwise, so sort of relevant. We'll keep the Dark Peddler, but I don't know, Knife Juggler is good against some kinds of Paladin, but if it's like an Egg Paladin, I don't really want the Knife Juggler. Could cause problems hitting eggs. So this is a bad hand. Ragnaros is not the card you want to see. It's a risk with a deck like this. You risk that you have less consistent early cards, but you know that risk is made up for by the fact that you're probably going to have a better mid to late game. So it's a trade-off. It's risk reward. Yeah, see, right. This is, and I would not like the Knife Juggler in this instance. So we'll definitely play this guy. These may not be valuable ever. Mortal Coil's pretty good against Paladin, particularly with this thing popping out dudes all the time. Hungry Crab actually might be relevant. I haven't seen Egg Paladins running Murlocs, but there's a lot of Murloc Paladins out too. Shifter Xeris is also intriguing because we don't really have a play. But I'm just going to stick with what I think is the most consistently valuable card, which is Mortal Coil. But that was actually a discover that was worth discussing. Okay. That's kind of counterintuitive, right? Because popping the Divine Shield doesn't actually do damage to it, so... I don't know. I could Direwolf Alpha just to get a minion out. Trade, but it doesn't feel particularly good. I guess we have to, though. It sets up for the Dark Iron. I'm very scared about buffs on this, like Blessing of Kings, for instance. Coin Blessing of Kings is going to be really scary. So coin is like right around here. Oh! What? Okay. That makes me happy. You have the more valuable stuff out right now. I'll just tap and generate resources and let you go. I don't mind at all, to tell you the truth. He's probably not expecting me to have stuff like Ragnaros, so I don't know. I was having trouble dealing with that. Definitely a buff paladin. Jeez Louise. We'll play this guy and hope to set up some big trades. He's just on curve, right? None of this other stuff's very enticing right now. This doesn't trade particularly well. If he can get through the shield anyway. Trades pretty poorly. But with Dark Iron and Direwolf, we can actually trade it up if he doesn't buff it somehow. He probably wants to like Hero Power Blessing of Kings, but he doesn't have the mana for that yet. So he could like Hero Power Seal of Champions. Be pretty good. I don't think he does that, or he would have done it already. Yeah, that's not the most exciting thing I've ever seen. Oh, well, we did call it, though. We did at least call the play. So I'm probably going to Mortal Coil the shield off that. It doesn't draw me a card, of course, but lets me kill it, which is pretty valuable since it's really scary and threatening. And then we'll just play a selection of minions. This is 1 mana. That'll leave us with 5. These guys are 4. I don't want to play the Dark Iron into this guy because he has attack that lines up pretty nicely. So I'll just play these 3, and we'll short a mana, but that's actually just fine. It's not the best trade ever, right? But it just had to happen, so we don't really mind. And the Direwolf Alpha will die here. He'll kill the Direwolf, which is fine. We're just using this as a Divine Shield popper. That's not really that bad. We can just Power Overwhelming and trade up, and both those will be dead. I mean, not even. Actually, we don't even need power. We actually do need Power Overwhelming. I guess it doesn't matter. Same difference. So I'm actually gonna Knife Juggle. And I'm gonna Dark Iron the Imp, and if the Juggle hits this guy, it's bonus because it saves me a Power Overwhelming. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be using the Dark Iron Dwarf's attack anyway because the Argent Squire is going to go into the dude. So there's a chance that this gives me I saved the Power Overwhelming. Perfect. Plus it's going to put him on tilt because he didn't realize that I had the clear anyway. So that might be super valuable later. We don't know. Do I need to deal with that? Rag could deal with it, but a Power Overwhelming also gets me through it pretty easily. I think I might as well address it right. I want to spend cards for Divine Favor, because I don't want him Divine Favoring in big hands. I'm going to tap, and then at least play the Possessed Villager Power Overwhelming. Actually, let's tap first. We're not going to Rag, so we don't really need. We can make sure we pop this Divine Shield, probably, and save a minion. Or not. Juggler was a bro last turn, but he failed us this turn. So, okay, he's running out of threats, probably. Divine Favor's not good. We got a Ragnaros queued up. We're running out of threats. I just sound like an idiot. So I'll just Power Overwhelming again. Gonna do it this way because I might be able to Power Overwhelming the Argent Squire instead of the Knife Juggler if the Death Rattle minion here hits Tyrion. If the Juggle hits Tyrion, it didn't. So now I have to use my my Knife Juggler, which sucks. It's not the worst, right? But it kind of sucks. So Rag is scary for him. I don't know if he'll have a good way to deal with this. I don't think he runs stuff like Equality. Guess he's too board-centric. But he did run Doomsayer, so I don't know what to expect, to tell you the truth. He runs Questing Adventurer, so by God, who knows? I don't know that I can deal with this. I mean, I kind of want to pop the Divine Shield just in case Ragnaros is relevant, right? Defender Vargas is actually pretty good. It's going to be frustrating for him. I'll life tap first. Let's juggle into Defender Vargas on Rag and the Squire. But first I'm gonna I guess it doesn't matter. I'm gonna try to pop the Divine Shield with the knife first. And if not, I'll use the Argent Squire. Man, it just never hits. So Rag has a good, I mean, really either outcome puts us in a decent spot. That's the best one though, of course, because that means he probably has trouble killing Rag and our board. And can't buff that guy anymore, so we're in a good spot. Quality Consecration's like the only combo that gets him out of this. Seems stupidly unlikely. So yeah, Rag MVP for sure there. Pretty cool. Good win streak so far already from this little deck. Let's try at least one more game here. I really like this though. It's different. People play Zoo a very specific way. They use a lot of removal to keep up with that early board, and they just freak out trying to do everything in their power to make sure you don't get ahead on the board. And typically they can do that because then you start to kill yourself and you start playing 1-drops on turn 6, and it's like they can keep up. But with this deck, that's not always the case, right? This is actually a perfect hand. I'll keep this hand. Possessed Villager is the perfect turn 1, and Either of these gives us some flexibility to trade up into whatever he plays first, and this is, of course, the ideal 3-drop or coin 2-drop if he doesn't play anything. But anyway, as I was saying, they spend all those resources and freak out and clear your board, and then you play Sylvanas, then you play Ragnaros, and you play Deathwing, and they're like, wait a minute, that wasn't the deal. The deal was you play Possessed Villager on turn 6. I just used everything I have to keep up with you. So, pretty neat little twist there. I think the only risk, of course, is really inconsistent early hands where you draw Deathwing, Ragnaros, Sylvanas, Psychotron, and you have to life tap on turn 2 and 3 because you don't have playable cards, and you just fall behind. And then these cards aren't enough. The Sylvanas and the Rags aren't enough to get you ahead. Intriguing. I think we'll just Direwolf here. He just used like half his hand. The Abusive Sergeant would also work, but there's really no need to go crazy here when we could just kill it like this. So he's out of cards already, and it seems like he's a token druid, which they need cards. But he does have a ton of mana, so one big play here could be problematic for us. He's going to look for like Living Roots or Wrath to deal with this, but he should probably look for a card that gets him more cards. Like a Nourish for next turn. So we'll just Imp King Boss. Save onto some of these good cards for when we need them. That's a really good card to see. I'm playing this to the left because the imps will spawn to the right, which means that they can chain off of the Direwolf Alpha while trading up if we get a bunch of imps. Of course, who knows if we'll get imps, but... Is he going to take the mana? No, he took the body. Okay, that's good to know. We can actually just trade. Should be fine. Could do other stuff with like the Dark Peddler, but this plays a bit into swipe, but not really even. Not really. Only the Direwolf really gets swiped here. I mean, swipe on the Defender Vargas is okay. Imp King Boss is okay too. Doesn't look like he has swipe though. It's Wrath, yeah. Wrath for 1, draw a card. So I think I gotta kill this, but it shouldn't be too bad with the Abusive Sergeant. We can figure out a way to kill it pretty efficiently. Could try to juggle some stuff too. Starfall's risky if we do that, but I think we can make it work. Because this will spawn a dude for me probably if I just... We gotta see how the first juggle goes, and that will affect... Man, I could take a big risk here, but... I'm gonna try this. If these juggles hit that, then I'll use this to trade. There's a chance that we lose some damage here, but it's really not avoidable. Oh, we didn't. We did it perfectly. Cool. The juggles worked out for us really nicely there. How many total juggles did we even get? I don't know. We might have played into swipe a little bit with these trades, but pretty good damage here. We had 1 juggle, 2 juggle, 3 juggle, 4 juggle, 5 juggles in 1 turn. I'll take it. Wow, I called it. Not everybody actually runs Starfall. Did he pull that off the Raven Idol, or is he running it? It's amazing interaction, by the way. It's 2 free damage I got there. No, it's a Raven Idol. Man, he picked Starfall. What a boss. Mad respect. So I'll probably play both of these. Ooh, although this is enticing too. Because we don't really need a taunt yet. Let's see what we get here, and we'll probably just Imp King Boss. He's at 19. I think Power Overwhelming is probably just more consistent than Soulfire. Soulfire is a little scary in this deck because of you have some good cards, right? You don't really want to get rid of your Ragnaros or your Deathwing, so you gotta be careful. Power Overwhelming, just usually you get rid of a 1/1 instead of Ragnaros, for instance, so it can work out much better for you. We should be able to deal with that. He's running out of cards pretty quickly. Wild Growth is... He just cast a Wild Growth to get 1 mana and a dude. I'm not sure I agree with that. We can just Power Overwhelming trade, Psychotron, maybe something else if we get it. This is 7 mana. We have the coin. I probably don't need to play the Abusive Sergeant, so I think I'm going to life tap, can play these with the coin. Does Direwolf Alpha change anything? It does. I can save the power overwhelming if I play these 2 minions. But I think I'd rather get the Psychotron out. I'm just going to sacrifice this guy. I think I want this on the right side. So this will be good. This will be good. We're in a good spot, right? This is going to be very difficult for him to deal with. He can hero power up, but he takes 3, and then he can swipe if he wants, but this gets pretty good with swipe. He could Yogg. Yogg is always a threat, right? Fandral could be very scary too. Fandral Mulch doesn't do much together, though. I hope I'm able to kill the Fandral based on this. Oh! Flame Tongue should seal the deal. Yeah, Flame Tongue will make sure I can kill the Fandral, that's for sure. Okay, so this is 7 mana, but we don't need to play everything. So I'm going to life tap first. Pretty relevant. So we'll Flame Tongue. This will go to 3. We can also just Abusive Sergeant. That's 3 mana. So let's play the Dark Peddler and see what he gives us as well. Man, there's a chance we could get a Reliquary Seeker off. But probably not. I'm just going to go for the Possessed Villager. We have enough health that we can life tap, so I don't need card draw. I don't think that's going to be relevant. I wouldn't be totally surprised to see a concede here, but I don't know. He has outs. Nourish into cards, Yogg. There are certainly outs, so he can just Wrath this as well, but it doesn't help him much. Oh, that's a good card. That's a good card. Let's see. How on earth do I want to do this? I could just Direwolf here, trade once, go face, set up a Voidwalker. Let's life tap first. Another Voidwalker. I don't think I want to kill the Cenarius with all these Voidwalkers. I can just kind of stall him out, right? So I'm going to do this in a slightly unusual way, but to try to maximize the quality of minions and the face damage. Go here. I could go this way, but I'd rather have a... this guy's going to slide in, right, and do a ton of damage, so I don't really care. And I think I'll put this one over here for the Direwolf. There's a Flame Tongue and a Direwolf, so I've got to like balance all of this nonsense. I don't know what's supposed to go where, but if this dies, these two activate each other, which seems relevant. So the weakest guy, the linchpin guy here, seems like he could be relevant. Actually, this is the weakest guy, I suppose, but he would kill this one first, I'm saying, if he had like a Wrath, for instance. Swipe is sort of helpful, I guess. He kills a couple guys and takes out a taunt, but might even swipe the Flame Tongue just for damage considerations, but we can refill really quickly. Frail Rage. I'm not sure I wouldn't have taken the armor. Aren't you just dead to the board now? Yeah, you're just dead to the board now. Like, I think you had to armor. Yeah, we just have lethal now. I think the armor was the only out. I mean, it wasn't good play, don't get me wrong. He still would have been in trouble. But he only removed 2 damage. He actually only removed 1 damage with the Feral Rage, so he would have removed 7 extra damage with the armor. Still was a losing battle, but interesting. So that game we really won on the back of just Zoo, not even the Deathwing. We didn't even see the Deathwing. That's going to do it for this spotlight. Pretty clearly the deck is rolling and playing well. Some Zoo games, we saw the Rag and the Sylvanas pretty relevant as well. So you can see how this works. Pretty neat spin on Zoo. I'm still curious to see how the Deathwing works, but it makes sense, right? It's a last ditch. The game is all but over. Here's my last shot. I'm putting the 12-12 out there. I hope you can't kill it. I'm going to hit you in the face and win the game, which I'm sure becomes relevant 1 out of 10 games and occasionally wins you the game, which is pretty neat. And the great thing about Deathwing, of course, is with all these low-cost cards, you're very likely to empty your hand. So Deathwing's probably not discarding your hand. He's mostly just dealing with the board, which is cool. But anyway, pretty cool list, Admirable. I really like this. I think it's got legs, and I'm curious to play it some more. I really like playing Zoo, and especially weird variations of Zoo, which is exactly what this one is. So some fun new cards and a great chance to play legendaries if you have this set of legendaries exactly. Give this deck a try. And that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching the Deathwing Zoo deck spotlight. And until next time, game on.